Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Ascension with V. And it's just me this time on this podcast, another little solo dolo little session. And as usual, I set out with trying to talk about one set thing, but sometimes again, God's Source Universe comes through with a different message. But I wanted to start out talking about the importance of not trying to erase your past, right? Like, what do I mean by erase your past? Erase your past by a lot of times when people reach a certain point along their path, their growth, their ascension, their healing, they go through their death and rebirth and, they're like, hey, I'm not that person anymore. And, I don't want to be associated with that life or that version of myself. And then they kind of go through not only just in their mind, but they go through their social media, they go through their accounts, they go through their wherever had traces of them and their unhealed version, for lack of better words here. They try to go and kind of like sponge away, wipe away that version of them. And while, I get it from, especially if you just were kind of really, really down there, rough. And my point in saying this is that you were that version for a reason, and that version of you did what it had to do to get you to the version that you are now and the version that you're going to become. Like just now, right? The person and version that you are right now is doing exactly what it needs to do to get you to the version that you're destined to become. So every version of you is always doing the best that it can to help you survive, to help you thrive, to make the best decisions it can for you at the level of growth and the frequency and vibration that you're at in that moment. I work with a lot of people. I get a lot of I've said it before, and this is why people always ask me, why do you have NDAs and contracts with your, when I book a service with you? Well, it's because I have a lot of high profile clients and people that come to me, and they are trying to change. And one of the things that they say to me frequently is like, well, I'm not that person. I'm not the person that I used to be, and I don't want to be associated with that, any longer. And it's kind of like them trying to go through a rebranding of everything, but literally like you had to be, there's nothing that you could have done differently in order to be who you are now, in order to get to the point of where you're now making this decision to say, hey, I don't want to be that person any longer. I don't want to do those things any longer. I don't want to be associated with that any longer. I want more for myself. I want better for myself. I want to make more aligned decisions for myself. I want to be, the best version of myself that I can be. It's a progress. It's a process that you have to go through to get to that point. And that's that's why I say, looking back in hindsight at those past versions of yourself, you need to, instead of looking back at with like disgruntled energy and disgust and being like, ew, cringe, ew, cringe at that video that I made, ew, cringe at that post that I was like oversharing and over explaining myself, gross and cringe at myself for begging for that person to stay in my life, whatever the case may be here. Like, instead of looking back at the past versions of yourself with disgust, with grunge, with cringe, with like bad taste in your mouth kind of thing, like you need to look back at the past versions of yourself through a lens of love, gratitude, and appreciation, because literally that version of you did everything that it could do for you to get you to where you're at. It's almost like I give this example frequently of like a relay race, and you're waiting for the other person to come hand you the baton. That other person that you're waiting for to hand you the baton so that you can start running is the other version of yourself, the unhealed lesser version of yourself, right? And behind that person was the unhealed version of that person, and so on and so forth. Each one had a baton to hand off to you for the next version. Like, okay, you got this, go. And there was obstacles and challenges that each version of yourself has to go through and will continue to have to go through. Like, I say this so frequently, and I feel like I like a broken record, kind of like stuck on loop, having to repeat this message of if your soul has chosen to grow to its highest possible version, you're going to go through multiple levels, multiple times of obstacles and this baton handoff thing, because it's not just a one-time thing. You're going to cycle through multiple versions of yourself to reach that highest version of yourself. You're going to go through multiple versions, multiple up levels, multiple selves in this process, in this incarnation, and every incarnation thereafter. You're going to have these moments where you're doing the baton handoff, and just as the current version of you is doing the best that it can right now, you're going to hand off that baton to another version of yourself so that they too can do the best that it can for the next person, the next version of you that it hands the baton to carry you further. And the ultimate goal is always you to become the highest and best version of yourself. And that's what it's about. It's not like a competition of outward. Literally, the person that you're racing up against is you. It's always been you. It's you. You are who you're in competition with. It's you that you're waiting for that baton on. It's you that you're going to hand the next baton to. It's you that has to finish that, run across and go across the tape and the finish line. It's you. When you look to your left and to your right and the person that's in those other lanes running on that track with you, it's you. And so when you're looking behind and you're looking at your past and you're talking, and you don't feel, you need to remember that just like right now, currently in the version that you are right now, just like you're going through difficulties, just like you're going through, rough experiences and times and processes right now, in the version as you are currently, same rules and regulations and situations apply to the past versions of you. You were going through something then. You were experiencing difficulties and trials and tribulations then. And you're currently experiencing a different level, a different way of some trials and tribulations and obstacles and adversity that you're having to climb through and push through and go through and deal with. That's life. Such is life. You'll always have to ride the ebb and flow of these waves, of the currents of energy. That's just what it is. But every version of you has had to do the same thing. And so I wanted to make this short episode to talk about the importance of really, really showing yourself grace and compassion, not just right now, but for the past versions of yourself, because they did what they had to do and could do with the energetic knowledge, frequency, support, and vibrations that they had at that time, that you had at that time, and you did the best that you could. You did the best that you could. You made the most aligned decisions that you could make with what knowledge and intuition and abilities and foresight that you had for yourself. And the goal, especially when you're in your unhealed versions and in your weaker version, is always to survive so that they can hand the baton off to a more healed version of you, to continue on, to pass that torch on, to crusade forward, right? It's always your lesser versions, your unhealed versions. They're always there to try to help you survive. And I think once we can hone it into that perspective, once we can grasp that kind of imagery, when we can look at it from that kind of zoomed out angle and perspective of it, there's so much grace, love, compassion, and a lot of apologies that should be given and owed to our past versions, and a lot of thank yous to be said, because while we may not love some of the choices that we made. We made the choices that we needed to make to survive, to hand the baton off so that we could get to this place of healing, to this version of healing, to this level of healing and growth and ascension that we're in currently right now. And it didn't come without, lessons. It didn't come without pain. It didn't come without suffering. But those stripes and those scars and those lessons that you have earned, those those are the keys. Those are the golden nuggets to always hold dear to you, to remember that you did those things. You lived that life and you have the proof to show that you literally have walked through the fire. And that fire has alchemized you to become this version that you are right now, and it will continue to fuel you to become the highest version of yourself in the future. And that's so huge, and I just see it so frequently. I get it. Like I said, a lot of my worst and darkest moments and times have been displayed across social media for all to see, because I've always been out here kind of publicly sharing and posting because of the things that I was going through with my health. I literally had to live my life as if my every day was my last day of living, because I didn't know. That's how bad my physical body was suffering and going through so much suffering, so much pain, so much trauma all the time, from 16 to 28 to 29. I lived every day like it was going to be my last day here on this earth physically. So I recorded a lot, I posted a lot, and a lot of those times you have to remember that I was on a lot of medication that suppressed who and what I really was, and it clouded a lot of my judgment, it clouded a lot of my thinking, and a lot of the things that I was posting and saying. It had a lot of like cringe moments, where I looked back recently. I deleted a whole bunch of stuff from my iCloud storage because I ran out of my 2 terabytes. And I was going back and I was like, ew, like at a lot of the things. But then after I said ew, I was like, but not really though, because damn, I was going through it. And I like even now, like I'm getting like emotional about it because I feel so bad. Not like, oh, poor me, victim mentality. Like, no, not any of that. But like I feel bad for being as hard on myself as I was while I was going through the things that I was going through and I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Look, also tomorrow's the lunar eclipse, full moon in Virgo, so like here I am with the waterworks and everything. So whatever, but this just lets you know really honestly how real and honest I am about this, like how sincere it really was for me when I was looking through these things, because it hit home where I was like, damn. And the entire time, all I kept thinking was, I need to do better. I need to do better, and I need to do this, and I need to, I need to push past this, and I need to get this, and not once was I ever just like, we're doing the best that we can here. With the odds stacked against us, we're doing the best that we can here. And I don't think I ever said that. And for that, I'm like, damn, and so I took some time yesterday to be like, oh man, like I'm sorry. I'm sorry I was so hard on myself. And I think that's something that everybody needs to say at least once is I'm sorry, to past versions of themselves where they were hard on themselves, where they didn't give themselves, credit for the things that they were doing. They didn't give themselves, compassion and grace. Like it's easy to extend compassion and grace to other people, right? Like when they're going through something, and we see it outwardly, we see it externally, but when it's you, when it's happening, when it's you that it's, like when it's the internal thought of self, it's like, we got to do better, we got to, these very high expectations are set, frequently, and I just wanted to say that here currently, the night of this lunar eclipse, full moon, south node, mind you, south node, all about the past versions of self, past lives, past relationships, things that need closure. And this is me kind of opening the door and inviting you guys to give yourself closure on your past lives, past selves, past versions, and look back on yourself compassionately, and number one, apologize apologize to yourself. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being so hard on myself. I'm sorry for trying to push myself to do things that, weren't in alignment, that we just didn't have the capacity to do. And I'm sorry for beating myself up for not having the strength or the ability, the energetic capacity or the mental capacity. My God, my mind was just non-existent, honestly, with all the medications, God, the medicines, but saying I'm sorry to the self, to the past versions of selves right now, it's so cathartic. It's really healing. It's really, really necessary to process these things out peacefully, with love, with compassion, with grace, and to see it through that zoomed out perspective of what it truly was, how it truly was, and not from that wounded and negative version or mindset on it, negative attitude on it. It's really, really important. It's super healing to understand that we're all doing our best here currently, right now. The you that you are right now in this version, as you're watching this, you're doing the best that you can. And the goal is always to get you to the next highest version of yourself. That's what the you that you are right now is doing, is trying to get you to pass the baton to the next version, the next highest version of yourself. So that next highest version of itself can go, and so on and so forth. It's always to survive. It's always to be the best version. And every decision that you're making, there's literally nothing that you can do that's going to make you get to your destination any faster, and there's nothing that you can do to make you get to your destination any slower. Everything will always happen on divine time, and I feel like you can rest so easily, so effortlessly in that knowing of you are where you're meant to be at exactly the right timing, always. And that's what it is. And don't try to pressure yourself, push yourself into performing more or trying to make something happen faster, or there's this thing that if you try to work 100 hours and if you try to work 10 minutes, you can get the same amount of work done regardless of the amount of time that you put in. Because when you step back, you stop trying to micromanage the universe and you allow yourself to kind of fall back and surrender, you get into the flow state where you can just navigate and take intuitively guided and inspired actions when you're led to. And when you act from that alignment, that's that energetic alignment, so much happens quickly, effortlessly, fast, and you get like 1,000 things done in such a short amount of time. That's that 10 minutes version that I just gave the example of. It's, instead of you trying to push yourself in working 100 hours and you only got an hour's worth of work done. Do you know what I mean? So there's just, give yourself grace, give yourself compassion, and please rest easy in knowing that you're where you're meant to be, and your past was not a mistake. Nothing that you did was a mistake. And I think anybody who's on the redemption line path, that comes to me seeking redemption, that wants to rewrite their soul's contract or try to renegotiate their soul's terms and conditions and renegotiate a new contract for their souls for either the continuation of this incarnation or their next life's incarnation. I think it's really important to keep in mind that you have arrived here, period, at this point of being like, I want to right some wrongs. I want to do better. I want better for myself. I want to do what my soul was asking me to do before I did the things that the world. It's a lot of people who, they attained material success at the cost of their soul's growth in ascension at the end of the day. And I think when that realization hits, they've bought into. It's a lot of men that have bought into the peridium, the peridium of what success looks like and what it means to be a man that's successful. And we all kind of got played into this programming of what quote unquote success looks like. And a lot of people did not great things to obtain success by any means. only to find out that the success came at the cost of their soul's growth, at the cost of their soul. And now they, they've got this unfillable void within their soul because they've ignored it. They've blocked out their soul and their connection to the divine. And so coming to the point of realization of being like, oh shit, this is what's happened, that's like a huge deal. And wanting to take the steps to be like, is there a way for me to establish a connection to my soul? Can I do that? Do I still have a soul? Am I able to do, like, that's a big point. And I think that's something that you just need to give yourself grace and compassion and credit for, arriving to the point of wanting to right wrongs, of wanting to connect with your soul, to connect with the divine, and to go through this redemption and this healing and ascension process. I'm saying all that to close out and loop back and come full circle to say, please just forgive yourself in the past versions of selves and love every version of yourself currently, right now. Yeah. Happy Virgo lunar eclipse full moon south node. Don't forget to put your crystals out and put your moon water out and take some time to go through what it is that you want to release and what you're letting go of with compassion, with grace, with love, always with love. And be thankful for the versions of you and the decisions that you made that got you to this point. And with that being said, don't forget you can book sessions with me, all the things, all the blahs, and the New Earth Guidebook to Healing and Ascension is available on Amazon. And until next time, guys, I'll see you. Love you. Peace, squad.